So in our previous segment we talk of artificial pollination techniques, that is emasculation as well as bagging techniques. Now let us proceed with the pollen pistil interaction, because up till now the pre-fertilization events are completed. Now the next is fertilization events. For fertilization, both the gametes, that is the two male gametes which are there in the tube, that is the pollen tube, as well as the egg cell should fuse with each other to form a diploid zygote, and then they will facilitate fertilization, or in another terms we can say syngamy is achieved. Now pollen pistil interaction we will see, but before that introductory part, that pollination, right, we have discussed. But what happens basically in the nature is pollination does not guarantee the transfer of pollen from one part, that is the anther, to the stigma. So basically in nature pollination does not guarantee transfer of pollen, and this transfer of pollen may be from the same species. Transfer of pollen may be from same species or other species. Right? What is the meaning of this statement which I have written on the board is, in nature pollination does not guarantee the transfer of pollen. That means once pollen is transferred, say let us draw this diagram. This is the stigma, style, as well as the ovary part. So this is ovary, the cylindrical structure is what we call it as style, and this is stigma. And we know stigma is acting as a receptive surface. After maturation, stigma will only receive the pollen grain. So let us say this is the pollen grain and this is the intine, and after intine we have exine layer also, and the layer where exine is absent, it is called as the region of germ pore, through which the pollen tube emerges out. Now pollen has reached to the stigma. Now what is the fate of this pollen? Fate means now what this pollen will do after reaching onto the receptive part of the pistil, that is what we call it as stigma, which is acting as a receptive surface of the pistil. What this pollen will do next? Pollen will facilitate the formation of pollen tube, that is for fertilization, if, I am again repeating, if the stigma accept that pollen. So stigma has the power. Stigma decides which pollen to accept, which pollen to reject. That is what the meaning of this. So in nature, pollination does not guarantee the transfer of pollen. So if the pollen are transferred, then it is not 100% sure that pollen tube will emerge out. So transfer may be from the same species. If it is from same species, then we can say it is compatible pollen. So it is compatible pollen. If it is from another species, we can say it is incompatible pollen. Right? Now who has the power to decide whether to accept the pollen or to reject the pollen? That is stigma. So stigma decides two things, that is either stigma accept the pollen grain, or reject the pollen. Generally, I am talking about general cases. If the pollen is accepted, then it should be of compatible type. So it is compatible type. If the pollen is rejected, it is incompatible or non-compatible type of the pollen. So this is what the basic introduction, that is self-incompatible and this is compatible. Okay, so who has the power to decide whether to accept the pollen or to reject the pollen? That is the receptive surface, which is stigma. Okay, now what we have to see in this topic is the interaction between stigma, that is the pistil, as well as pollen. So this is what our topic is, pollen pistil interaction. Now on what basis stigma accept the pollen or reject the pollen? It is actually based on the chemicals secreted by both, that is the pollen grain as well as the stigma. Okay, pollen grains generally secretes enzymes and proteins also, and stigma, that is a receptive surface, generally secretes water plus sugar molecules, and the most common sugar is sucrose. Okay, so stigma is the final authority to decide whether to accept the pollen or to reject the pollen. Now let us see the various steps which are involved in the pollen crystal interaction. Okay, so the first step is landing of pollen onto the receptive surface, that is stigma, right? So first step is landing of pollen grains on stigma, and stigma is acting as a receptive surface. I am drawing the diagram in this segment. I am drawing the diagram. So we will draw the diagram only pistil, that is the stigma, style and ovary, right? So this is the stigma, this is style, and this is ovary, right? This is ovary, this is style, and this is stigma. Now let us draw one pollen also on this receptive surface, that is stigma. So this is what the pollen is. Okay, let me draw bigger. This is one pollen, right? And this is the intine layer, and surrounding the intine we have exine layer also. And we also know that the region or the area where exine is absent is called as germ core. So all these regions are the region of germ core, and this is exine layer, which is again the hardest layer. Now first step is pollen with the help of pollination has been formed or landed on the receptive surface, that is stigma. Now second step is, once stigma sense through its chemicals, it has a sensation that something has been landed on my surface, that is on the surface of the stigma, it starts secreting its own secretion. So second step is stigma secretes its secretion, and the secretion is rich in water as well as sugar molecules. So stigma secretes its secretion rich in water plus sugar, that is sucrose. Okay, now this sucrose is acting as a germinating solution. So what is the role of sucrose? Sucrose acts as a germinating solution. You can also write germinating media and pollen tube germination or simple pollen germination. Now it will start. So sucrose acts as a germinating solution on the media, and it starts pollen germination, or you can say pollen tube germination, right? So first step is landing of the pollen grain on the stigma, which is acting as a receptive surface. Second step, once the pollen has been detected by the stigma starts secreting, and the secretion consists of mainly of water as well as sugar, that is sucrose, and sucrose acts as a nutrient media, germinated nutrient media, and there it will start pollen germination. Now we know when pollen start to germinate, it will start the formation of pollen tube. And from which region pollen tube forms? Of course, from the region where exine is absent, and that region is called as germ core. So now what will happen? Fourth step is, or the third step is, pollen tube formation initiates. All these steps which I have simplified simplified for you, are not given in NCERT, so please do watch the video till end only. So pollen tube formation initiates, right? Fourth step. So let us say from this region, okay, this is the region, and from here the pollen tube has start forming. So this is the pollen tube. Now pollen tube growth will take place. So pollen tube growth occurs. Now if you remember, for the microsporogenesis process we have discussed the structure of the pollen, and the most common pollen that we have discussed in case of angiosperm species, they rupture at the 2 cell stage only. That is 2 cell stage. The first cell is the vegetative cell and the second is generative cell. So first is vegetative cell and the second one is generative cell. Vegetative cell is also called as tube cell. Now most of the pollen within the angiospermic plant species, they mature at 2 cell stage only, that is vegetative cell as well as tube cell, which will initiate the formation of the pollen tube, and generative cell as it is, right? But what happens is, after pollen tube starts to form, it grows. Fifth step is generative cell undergo mitotic division to produce 2 male gamete. This is what we have studied in microsporogenesis. Now generative cell undergoes one mitotic division, that is by mitosis, one mitotic division to produce 2 male gamete. So generative cell will undergo mitotic division to produce 2 male gamete. Now let us label 2 male gametes. For labeling we have to draw this tube, a bigger one. So let us draw the big tube. So let us say this is the pollen tube, right? And within the pollen tube I am using the blue marker for the pollen, that is the male gamete. So this is one male gamete and this is another. So these two are male gamete, right? Now what will happen? This style may be solid or it may be of hollow type. Okay, so we were discussing style may be of 2 types, hollow as well as solid. So style may be of 2 types, one is solid and another one is hollow. Let us draw both these type of style. So if the style is like this, that is stigma style only, it has some empty space, that is hollow space is present. So if the pollen tube is coming within this style region, there is no problem, there is no hindrance for the pollen tube. It can on its own will go and reach up to the ovary part, that is it has to reach to the ovule. This is the hollow style. Now what about the second type of style is, that is the solid style. What happens basically in the solid style is solid, that means it has some cell mass associated. So this is the epidermal cell and this is the conducting tissue cell mass is present within the ring. This is conducting tissue mass which is present within the solid style. This is solid style. So when pollen will come inside in the form of the pollen tube, and this pollen tube is surrounded by the conducting tissue, that is mainly the parenchymal cells, there are 100% chances that these conducting tissues from both the side will squeeze the pollen grain, will Now, pollen tube has male gametes also, and there is cytoplasmic content as well as nucleus, and that is required for germination. It is acting as a nourishment. Okay, cytoplasm has nourishment material for the male gametes to survive up till fertilization process. Okay, so conducting tissue 100% they will squeeze the pollen grains, that is the pollen tube. So at that time the entry of pollen tube is in the danger situation. So basically to avoid that, to avoid the squeezing, they have callose plugs. So basically what are callose plugs? Say this is the region of the tube, and somewhere here these plug like structures are present. So these regions are called as callose plugs. So this region callose plug. Then callose plug will do what? It will expand the style part and the pollen tube will come down. Again there will be type of cells, that is conducting tissue. So again on regular interval these callose plugs are always present at the different regular intervals, and its main function is to prevent the squeezing of pollen tube within the style part. Okay, so this is what the step number 4 was. Now, entry of pollen tube into the ovary, because within the ovary, ovule is located, fertilization will take place there only. So, fifth step is entry of pollen tube within the ovary. So, step number 5 is entry of pollen tube in ovary. Now we have to draw the big diagram, because here ovary also comes in the picture, right? So let us say this is the stigma, style as well as ovary. Now I am not labeling, you all know, you all are expert in this. So from this region, let us say the pollen tube comes, right? From this region the pollen tube is coming inside, and suppose let us say it has reached to this region, that is style, it is growing in the region of style only. So before that, in the ovary part we have bioteguments. If you remember this type of structure the ovary has, that is the biotegumental structure. Now within this biotegumental structure we have the central cell mass. Central cell, जिसमें synergid cells are there, antipodal cells are there, polar nuclei are also present. So within this center, within this central part, which type of cells are located? There are two ends, if you remember, chalazal end as well as micropylar end. So this is the chalazal end, that is the C end, and this is micropylar end, that is M end, that is micropylar. C end is called as chalazal end. Now, three antipodal cells are located here, or let us enlarge this diagram once more time. Only this diagram. So, in this region, this is the C end, that is chalazal end, and this is M end, that is micropylar end. It is just a zoom version of this small diagram. In the chalazal end, three antipodal cells are located. So these are antipodal cells. Okay? And in between, two polar nuclei are also located. These are the polar nuclei. In the center of the micropylar end, there is the one big cell, that is the egg cell, and two smaller cells, if you remember, that are synergid cells. So two smaller cells and one big cell. This is synergid cell, and once more term, egg cell and synergid cell together make something which is called as egg apparatus. Now pollen tube is still growing. Say for example it has reached to this region, that is chalazal region. So there are three locations or the three entry points of this pollen tube. This is the pollen tube. Okay. So this is pollen tube. there are three specific locations through which pollen tube can enter within the ovule. First, directly it can enter from chalazal end and it will reach to the ovule. This is the region. So first is entry from chalazal end. Okay. Second is entry from micropylar end also. So entry from micropylar end, and the third is from this integuments. The most common is bitegument structure of the ovule. So it is entry from integumental region. So there are three entries, that is entry from the chalazal end, entry from micropylar end, as well as integument region. Now there are specific names given to such entries. Say for example, if the pollen tube enters from the chalazal end, then it is called as chalazogamy. It is called as chalazo, CHALAZOGAM. It is called as chalazogamy. If it is from micropylar end, then it is called as porogamy. Then it is called as porogamy. And it is from integument, then it is called as mesogamy. Okay, so if it is from chalazal end, the process is called as chalazogamy. From micropylar end, it is called as porogamy. And if it is from integument, that is from the between, it is called as mesogamy. And the most common process, the entry path, is entry from micropylar end. So entry from the micropylar end is the most common entry of pollen tube in the angiospermic plant species. So let us say that this is the pollen tube which is coming, and it will turn around, or we can use this diagram for the pollen tube. So let us say this is the pollen tube which is coming, and it will directly go towards the micropylar end and it will attack on the synergid cells. So now pollen tube will enter into embryo cell, right? That is the egg apparatus, because this egg cell will have the ovule and then the fertilization will take place. So step number 6 is entry of pollen tube into the embryo sac or egg apparatus. Entry of pollen tube into egg apparatus or embryo sac. Why I am using the word embryo sac? Because this is a sac where embryo formation will take place after fertilization, or you can also say egg apparatus, right? Now, how entry of the pollen tube takes place into the embryo sac is using the filiform apparatus of embryo sac, that is the synergic cells. If you remember, the synergic cells at these bottoms, the finger-like projections are present. These projections are called as filiform apparatus. Okay, so and the entry of pollen tube into the embryo sac takes place using filiform apparatus, right? Now, when pollen tube enters in through this region, that is through the region of micropylar end, using the filiform apparatus, out of two synergic cells, one synergic cell disintegrate. So one synergic cell disintegrate, that means the cell wall of the synergic cell will also disintegrate. Cell wall also disintegrate. Then who guide the pollen tube entry within the embryo sac? It is the filiform apparatus. So filiform apparatus of the remaining, the synergic cell will guide what? The formation of pollen tube, will guide the entry of, now the pollen tube is formed, it has to enter within the embryo sac or egg apparatus. write the entry of pollen tube in embryo sac, that is the egg apparatus. Now fertilization will take place. How? Let us see. There are two types of fertilization taking place within the angiosperm plant species. We know the two male gametes which are there. The two male gametes are still there in the pollen tube. So out of two male gametes, one male gamete fuses with the egg cell. So one male gamete out of two, because two are present in the pollen tube, two male gametes are there. Out of two, one male gamete fuses with the egg. Now male gamete is haploid, that is N. Female gamete is also haploid, that is N. N and 2N. So one male gamete fuses with the egg cell, and then they will undergo fertilization will be initiated, that is syngamy. And what is the result of fertilization of syngamy? The production of diploid zygote. So with this process, production of diploid zygote takes place. So out of two male gamete, one male gamete fuses with the egg cell to undergo fertilization, that is syngamy, and they will result in the formation of diploid zygote, that is of 2N type. Okay, so one male gamete fuses with the ova or the egg cell, okay, to form the diploid zygote. What about the second male gamete? Second male gamete fuses with these two polar nuclei, which are also haploid in nature. So second, that is 8th step, that was 7, the formation of the diploid zygote was 7th step. So 8th step is fusion of second male gamete with the two polar nuclei. With two polar nuclei, this is also haploid in nature. So haploid, again 2, N, 2N plus one male gamete, which is also N. Now there will be 3N. That condition result in the formation of primary endosperm nucleus. So once the second male gamete fuses with the two polar nuclei, it will result in the formation of primary endosperm nucleus. Formation of primary endosperm nucleus, which is called as PEN, primary endosperm nucleus, which is triploid in nature. This is triploid in nature. Okay, and it is a triple cell, 3 nuclei fuses. So this is also called as triple fusion. This is also called as triple fusion. Why triple fusion? Because the two polar nuclei fuses with the one male gamete, that is remaining male gamete, to form the primary endosperm nucleus, that is PEN. It is triploid in nature, and the process is called as triple fusion. Earlier it was double fusion, right? 2N. Here it is triploid fusion. So 3N type of cell is formed. Okay. Now this two polar cell. So this cell 2 will not be there. Now one big cell is there, and this is called as primary endosperm cell. That is primary endosperm nucleus, only one and the same thing. Now I am removing this polar nuclei and writing it as primary endosperm cells, and this primary endosperm cell will initiate the formation of endosperm. Okay, and endosperm, you all know, is nutritive in nature. So there are two fusions which we have seen. That is, first fusion is the one male gamete fuses with the ova or the egg cell to form the diploid zygote. Second is fusion of the second male gamete with the two polar nuclei, that is triple fusion. So 2 times fertilization is taking place. Such phenomena are called as double fertilization. So in short, what is double fertilization? Double fertilization is the fusion of one male gamete with the egg to form diploid zygote. So it initiates or it includes formation of diploid zygote, and second is formation of pen, primary endosperm nucleus. Okay, so this is what the mechanism is. Now, what this primary endosperm cells will do, a primary endosperm nucleus, this will allow the formation of endosperm. Okay, and endosperm will do what? Provide nourishment to the developing embryo. From where this embryo will come? Because we know that the diploid zygote will undergo several changes to develop embryo. So zygote will develop into embryo, and primary endospermic nucleus or primary endospermic cells will start forming the endosperm, which is acting as the reservoir for the nutrient or nourishment. It provides nutrient or nourishment to the developing embryo. See, if this kind of extra thing which is happening within the angiospermic plant species, nothing is waste, because if nature creates something or the other, there has to be a purpose. There is always a purpose, just we have to find out that purpose. So purpose is, zygote purpose is to develop embryo. Primary endosperm nucleus or primary endospermic, the cell purpose is to form endosperm. So out of these two, which fusion will take place first? Of course, diploid zygote will first form, because if there is no diploid zygote, what primary endospermic nucleus or primary endosperm cells will do? Because its main job is to provide nourishment to the developing embryo. So first diploid zygote will form, and the second endospermic, that is pen, will form. So this is all about the pollen pistil interaction as well as double fertilization.